Hey everyone, welcome back to the collaboration space. I'm your host, Nancy Lussier from AVI-SPL. And today's episode is going to be focused on fulfilling the promise of experiential experiences in every space. And we want to encourage everyone back on site to drive meaningful collaboration in the office at any time, whether it's during a scheduled meeting or an impromptu brainstorm session. So our challenge is to create an ideal experience. And today we're going to discuss what we must keep in mind as we refresh our collaboration and learning spaces. And joining me today is Steve McCary from Q-SYS to share his insights about this topic. Welcome, Steve. How are you today?
Good morning, Nancy. Thank you. Doing well. It's a nice balmy morning down here in South Texas.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you joining me today, Steve. And I just want to jump right in. Can you maybe share with us what you're hearing from customers and your staff about what they expect when they come back into the office?
Sure. So the biggest things that we get is we need these spaces to make the employees want to come back into the office. They have developed a baseline over the last several years of how easy and seamless it is to work from home. And we really need to keep that ease of use as we transition back into the office. So by that, I mean that we need to have very easy integration both with built-in rooms with a dedicated UC platform, as well as rooms that are centered more around BYOD. So if they're going to bring their own device in, they need to be able to very easily and very quickly connect that in to be able to use the in-room resources and then conduct their meeting. So it all needs to be a very easy and seamless process for them to make that transition from, working 7 steps away from their bedroom to being back into an office and working around other people.
Yeah, so we've all been quite spoiled, right, over the past couple of years. So I want to lure people back into the office with these high impact spaces that are easy to use. So when I say high impact, I'm talking about the tech you mentioned and making everything, everything needs to be effortless. I don't want to have to come in and read a long list of instructions, right, to start my meeting. So what else are you hearing about that? And what kind of automation can we put in place for our users?
So when we talk about high impact spaces, we here at Q-SYS have a checklist of items, if you will, of things that make a high impact space. This is going to be things like built-in microphones, multiple cameras, and then, like you said, the automation. There has to be a very simplistic user interface for the users to use that word too many times, but anyway, so what needs to happen is they need to be able to come in. They either need to be able to easily start a meeting that's already invited into that room, or like I said, bring their own devices in. And then the system really needs to handle everything from there. So when you start to talk about multiple camera angles with some sort of an automated back end, whereas users or those who are on the near end of the meeting take turns talking, we're automatically switching those camera angles for the far end. We really want to focus on not only the near end experience, the people that are actually using it in the room, but we also want to make sure that the people that are on the far end get a really nice seamless experience too. So we need high quality audio that's being passed from the conference room out to those who are on the far end. We need to make sure that we've got good quality cameras and that our switching is clean. All of those things really come together and separate a huddle space or a basic room from these high impact spaces where we need to have our bigger meetings, our higher leverage meetings as well.
And I know Q-SYS, talks about vision-based automation, where, if I walk into the room and I don't have to worry about where I'm sitting, who I'm talking to, who I'm facing. Can you talk to me a little bit more about how Q-SYS vision-based automation works?
Certainly. So we have our Vision Suite product, and this is a system whereby we have an edge appliance server that is evaluating certain cameras that we dedicate in the room. And those we use to help us evaluate who is in the room, We can leverage that along with our automatic camera preset recall, which takes the telemetry data from intelligent microphones and gives us an idea of where the speech is coming from. Once we combine those two items, now we have all the information that we need to drive what would have in the past required several camera operators, perhaps a director in the room, somebody sitting with a lot of monitors where they can see everything that's going on and they're doing the switching back and forth. Well, thanks to the AI and the machine learning, as well as the data that we're getting from the microphones, we can take all of that information and then we can automate that entire process. So as one person speaks on one side of the room and then a person on the other side begins to speak, we can change to closer in shots of those areas where the people are talking. And then as people from the far end speak, or perhaps we have a moment of silence inside the room as people are maybe working on a side project, we can have that automatically switch to a wide shot of the room, so the people on the far end really do get that high production quality, and no one on the near end is having to actually sit there and run the system. So that's where the vision-based automation really becomes valuable for these spaces.
And I like the sound of that because it sounds like I can walk in the room, do my presentation, get up, walk around, and I don't have to worry about losing the people on the far end because that camera is going to track me no matter what I'm doing.
Correct. And not only that, but we can even take it a step farther in some rooms where we can have our vision-based system drive the overall function of the room. So we can have it where you can walk in and just walk and stand behind a podium, and the system says, "Hey, there's somebody standing behind the podium. I'm going to turn the displays on. I'm going to dim the lighting a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and set this room," and they didn't have to do anything really, because again, once we know that a person is in a particular area, we can drive automation on that. It's part of what we've shown at our last couple of demos, where we can have tracking cameras. So if you're talking about a lecture space, um, where someone is walking back and forth across the front, we can track in on them with specific shots. And then if they walk over to a whiteboard or a static presentation area, we can switch to a different angle that's maybe more head on. We can switch to a wider static shot. Excuse me. And then the whole time they're over there, they're writing on the whiteboard, they're pointing to something, we're staying on that shot, and then as soon as they go back to their walking area where they're talking, we go back to that tracking shot, and all of this is being done on the back end without anyone really needing to interfere.
And it sounds like it makes it really natural for the presenter. I can walk in, do what I want to do, and not have to worry about anything. And that human interaction is going to be there for me because, like you said, I don't need 5 camera operators to help me out. The system's going to do that all itself.
It is, and it gives the presenter a little bit of comfort knowing that they don't have to worry about this aspect. We get feedback a lot from the users of these rooms that they don't have to stress over the tech side of this. Once they start the meeting, start the call, whatever it is, whatever platform it is that they're using, start their stream if they're doing a live stream, whatever it is that they're doing, once they start it, the rest of it just runs itself. They don't have to worry about, can people hear me? Can people see me? Is my presentation being sent the way I want it to? Like, all of that gets taken off. All they have to do is focus on, presenting some good content, and the system can take care of the rest of it.
Perfect. And, I hear you. It's processing all this information for me. It's a stress-free, welcoming experience for the people in the room. So with all this information, what information can I get back out of the system? What can Q-SYS Control tell me about, how my rooms are being used? And can it tell me like even how many people were in each meeting?
Certainly. So we do have some basic analytics functions that we can leverage out of them. So we can, for example, by using our face count feature, I can tell you how many people are in a particular camera shot. I can tell you, how the system is being used. I can log things like, how many times are people using a particular space in a day, in a month, things like that. And the future is very bright when it comes to the data analytics side of what we can accomplish. So it's very nice to not only have this system that
Mhm.
can give our far end and near end users a really nice experience, but it can also give us some analytics to help us make future database decisions. So now when it comes time to, how many more of these rooms should we have? Well, we can go back and we can say, yes, this is a room that's built for 15 people. However, we're noticing that really there's only maybe 6 to 8 people that are in the average meeting. So maybe we don't need to build another 15-person space. Maybe we can build one that holds 10, or vice versa. We've got this space and we're having to cram extra people into it. Maybe the next one we build is a little bit bigger. So we can definitely help harvest some of that data where the companies or the users can then make some decisions about how their technology needs to be deployed in the future.
I like that. And I can prove, yes, people are coming back into the office, and hopefully we will have too many people and we will all be having those human connections together in the office. Now, we talk about more rooms and more of this great tech. So sustainability can come to mind. I know that's a topic of conversation among a lot of companies these days. Can you talk a little bit about how Q-SYS is addressing sustainability with its products?
Certainly. So this is probably one of the least considered benefits of things like vision-based automation, and just the way these rooms are configured, is that by leveraging this, not only can we leverage it for when we are in call, but we can also leverage these capabilities when we are not in a call. So therefore, if I have a camera that is looking in a room, it can determine when a person is in a room. Well, it can also determine when there is not a person in a room. So we can leverage that same information that we're getting, and we can do things like drive the lights in the room. We can drive the displays. I recently did a design for a company where I helped them. It was a small huddle space. We had a camera above the display. And by using our face count feature, where we know how many people are in a room, if the answer was greater than 0, then we would turn the displays on, we would affect the lights. But then once it was back at 0 for a certain amount of time, we had it where it would then turn the displays back off, turn the lights off. So we can really help with a lot of making sure that the system isn't just sitting idle all the time and burning power, which becomes very powerful when you start to get into much larger spaces where you're running projectors.
Mhm.
Projectors take lamps. Lamps are expensive. Lamps put off heat, which means you then have to cool the room. So there is a cascading effect where if we can be a little more mindful about who is in the room and who's using it and all of those things, and then conversely know when no one is in that room, we can really help take steps to make the spaces a lot more sustainable.
Thanks, Steve. All great information. And I like that we can power down or power off the equipment when the room is not in use. And for our listeners who want to take a deeper dive into sustainability, please check the show notes for a link to the Q-SYS sustainability guide that we worked on together. And also, Steve, I know that both AVI-SPL and Q-SYS will be at ISE. Anything you want to preview at ISE, or is it a secret?
Well, this will be a departure from the booth that you have seen over the last couple of ISEs and Infocoms. I'm not going to let the cat completely out of the bag, but just understand that there will be some new twists. We're very excited for it. I will personally be there helping out with the booth. So come by and see us, and maybe there are some little hidden Easter eggs for you lying around the booth.
Great. So everyone, make sure you go to both the AVI-SPL and the Q-SYS booths at ISE. And please, again, check the show notes for a link to register and also get a free exhibit hall pass. So Steve, I want to thank you for joining me today. I think this was all great information to share. I hope this was fun for you too.
Thank you, Nancy. This was a blast. I enjoyed it all.
Perfect. And thanks to all of our listeners, and we'll see you next time in the collaboration space. And don't forget, you can subscribe to our podcast either on your favorite podcast channel for the audio, or you can also follow us on YouTube for the video versions. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. For more information, visit avispl.com/Q-SYS.